What smoking on my dragons, divine righteous, almighty greats, overachieving, never slacking. Today we got cost of groceries in Britain versus America, food prices in UK versus US. And really what brought me to this video was her energy. You know, you ever see somebody, you're like, wow, they look, like really happy, like they just giving off a vibrant energy. So I'm like, let me react to this one. So I'm curious to know the prices in Britain for groceries. I know America, they're getting expensive. It's getting a little expensive. But let's hop into it. Original link in the description. Definitely go show her some love. Here we go.
Hi, this is Texas Dara, back home after spending another summer in England, and I'm here to do a quick intro to what is going to be the nerdiest video I have ever done on my channel. I'm going to compare the cost of British and American groceries by first taking you on a little shopping trip at a British supermarket chain, Tesco, and then comparing the prices of all the items I bought with products bought at Kroger, an American supermarket chain. I have spent dozens of hours compiling this video, filming, editing, calculating, spreadsheets, online research, etc. Back in my career as a marketer in the food industry, I would have gotten paid big bucks to do this analysis. But now I'm a retired marketer with a little YouTube channel, so please pay me by giving this video a thumbs up or making a nice comment or even subscribing if you find it interesting, helpful, or at least entertaining. Thank you so much. Now, let's let Gloucestershire Dara take us shopping. I've been asked about cost of living differences between the US and the UK, and one thing that people seem to be interested in is the cost of groceries specifically. So I'm going to tackle that in today's video. I'm here in front of Tesco in the wind, and I'm going to be going in and buying kind of a typical shopping basket full of groceries. And then I will compare the cost of all those items versus what they would cost at Kroger in Dallas, Texas. Like any good grocery shopper, I'm going to begin my shopping trip in the produce section. Well, let's go look at the cost of strawberries. These fine British strawberries from West Sussex are £2.30 for a 400-gram punnet. Before I show you the price comparison, here's a quick peek behind the scenes to view all the math I did for every set of products in this video, converting from imperial to metric measurements and converting currencies to make an equivalent data point to compare the price gap and see if...
Okay, so she did all the hard work. Shout out to her. Shout out to her. She made this easy for people like me.
If the British product was more or less expensive than the American one. So let's jump into our first example, strawberries. Doing all that complicated math, the result was the British strawberries are 6% more expensive than the American ones. Bananas are £1.
I wasn't expecting that at all. I wasn't for the British strawberries to be more expensive. I was honestly expecting for America's to be just, we'll see. Let me finish the video and then give more of a opinion right after.
Pence per kilo. American bananas are 49 cents a pound, and when you do the conversion, it means those British bananas are 13% more expensive. Easy peeler mandarins are £2.50 for a 600-gram bag. Back in the States, looking at a similar item, we have a 3-pound bag of these mandarin clementine oranges for $4.49, which makes the British ones 53% more expensive. At this point, I was kind of freaking out because I know that I felt like I was spending less money on produce in Britain, and the first few items were all more expensive once I did the conversions. But fasten your seatbelts. Things are about to change. Fresh broccoli is £1.92 per kilo. Buying broccoli by the pound in the States is $1.79 for a pound, making the British broccoli 41% cheaper. British carrots, a 1 kilo bag is only 50p. A 2-pound bag of carrots in the States is $2.49, which makes the British carrots a whopping 78% cheaper.
Did you know some dish soaps don't remove all the grease?
a whopping 78% cheaper. No, I love her character. She's pretty cool, and she's making this easy for people like me to understand. Because sometimes I can watch certain videos, and like you're learning. Someone like me, this is learning. So for people that might comment like, "Oh, get educated," or da 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 da, like honestly, go somewhere. Seriously, you are not needed.
These nice
Not your negativity's not needed. All right.
bell peppers in red, green, yellow, or orange are only 55p per pepper. This one didn't surprise me at all. When you buy bell peppers in the US, the green ones aren't that expensive, but I always buy red, yellow, or orange, and they're crazy expensive, like $1.49 each one. So yes, the British peppers were 55% cheaper. These cherry tomatoes are £1 for a 300-gram packet, but these are the really good ones. The Sugar Bell tomatoes, they're kind of small cherry tomatoes. They are £1.80 for 220 grams. To try and keep this an apples to apples equivalent, if you pardon the metaphor, I'm comparing the really fancy cherry tomatoes in Britain with the similarly really fancy cherry tomatoes in the States. And the British ones were 15% cheaper. These packages of both red and green grapes, 500 grams for £1.90. I could not find American grapes that were both red and green packed in the same container, so I just went for red grapes. And looking at equivalent products, the British ones were 21% cheaper. This bag of baby potatoes is £1.20 for 1 kilo, although it's actually on sale for 79p right now. Again, it was really hard to find an equivalent, but the closest thing I could find in the States for these small potatoes were the store brand Kroger new potatoes at $3.99 for a 1.5 pound bag. That made the British ones 75% cheaper. And if you fancy making some pesto or insalata caprese, a pot of basil is £1.90. I actually went and looked at the store at the size of the basil plant in Kroger, and it looked a lot smaller than the ones in.
It's just crazy because I'm thinking, like, I'm really grateful in my life because I get so much cash tips in what I do. Just when my pets sit in business, so many people they leave me so much that it's like when I don't really notice when something is a little more expensive because I'm always just kind of like, I'm an entrepreneur. So it's just money's always, but I don't really, I do need to start noticing. Maybe I'm spending a lot more just often not paying attention as much as I should for sure.
Tesco. So when I did my equivalent, I multiplied the price of the American basil by 1.5 times. British basil, 49% cheaper. A lot has been said about how American bread is just not good, and it's kind of true, I'm sorry to say.
I'm not sure if she's talking about not good as far as like health-wise or just taste-wise, but I definitely was wondering as far as comparison of quality, when it comes to UK and Britain food. I know we're talking about food prices, but is the quality better in the UK as far as with processed food and things like that? Like, is it better? Is it healthier? Is it, that's what I'm curious about too.
So let's look at some good bread here in the UK. One thing I've noticed is that seeded breads are really popular here. Way more popular than they are in the States. And they are delicious and nutritious. This is Ian and my favorite new bread. It's Tesco Finest brand, and it's wholemeal seeds and grains. And it's $1.35 per loaf, which is 800 grams. The bread aisle is so different in the US than it is in the UK. Most of the bread in the bread section is this kind of sandwich bread, which is not very healthy or very good. It's full of preservatives, and the honey wheat really is not whole grain. In order to get bread that is more healthy, you need to shop in this section where things actually have whole grains. It's hard to find something that's equivalent to what we buy in the UK because the store brand, private selection, is the Kroger store brand. The store brand has whole wheat, but they don't have anything with seeds. And then this is a really popular brand it has whole grains, but oh, actually, this is new. They do have a whole grain with seeds. So this might be the closest to what we buy in England, and it's $4.99 for a...
I tell you this much, that Pepperidge Farm, they got some good stuff. I had to stop eating their bread though, just because it's like, it was too good. Like, they got all type of different flavors and cinnamon, this and that, and I'm like, you know, it's a lot of stuff I just had to stop eating, guys. Like, seriously.
loaf. This is a biggie. I did actually buy that Pepperidge Farm whole grain with seeds bread, and it's pretty good. The slices are huge, but it's pretty good bread. Not as good as the Tesco bread, though. And that Tesco bread, 72% cheaper. With our bread, we need some butter. So here we have some Tesco brand regular salted butter, and it's $1.79 for 250 grams. American butter is also pretty expensive, so store brand butter, comparing American and British, the British butter was 6% cheaper. Our favorite kind of jam, wherever we are in the world, is Bon Maman. Here is the raspberry conserve. Normally it's £3.30 for 370 grams, but it's actually on sale for only $2.60 now. I was not surprised to see that with the American jam being about $6.50 for a jar, the British jam was 39% cheaper. Although I have to confess, when we first got to England this summer, this exact jam was on sale for £2 a jar, and I stocked up a ton. I forgot to film honey in England, but I really wanted to show this comparison because it's a big deal. We love honey, and it's crazy expensive in the States. This comparison shows both of these little plastic bottles are 340 grams, £1.50 in Britain, and $4.50 in the States, making the British honey 60% cheaper. These store brand
60% cheaper. All right, Britain. At first, when we first started the video, I was a little nervous. I'm like, maybe it's not what I thought. But as we move forward, yeah, Britain is showing to be very impressive with the prices.
Brand free-range eggs, medium size, are £1.50 for a 6-pack. I'm going to show you now why it's hard to compare eggs between countries. Obviously, our eggs are kept in the refrigerated section here, and we have these cage-free eggs that are store brand. We don't have them in 6-packs like they do in England, so I'll just equivalize for the fact that they're sold in dozens. But one thing is, it says cage-free. It does not say free range. They have other eggs that are called free range, and then these are the regular store brand eggs that don't say anything about free range or cage free, which mean they're kept in cages, and that's gross. So the American eggs come in a dozen, but the British ones were 10% more expensive. Let's compare prices on two different kinds of cheese. Here is an extra mature or sharp cheddar, and
honestly, I just want to live in an environment where I'm just growing my own food, honestly. Like, to be real, I'm not saying that's easy. I know it ain't easy, but...
For 400 grams, that is £3. The Kroger brand cheddar cheese is $2.49 for 8 ounces. It's the orangey kind of Wisconsin-style cheddar. That makes the British cheese 17% cheaper. Although, knowing what both of these cheeses are like, I would say the British cheese tastes better. Then let's also look at the Double Gloucester. That is £2.85 for 200 grams. I'm looking to see what English cheeses they have. They used to have Double Gloucester, but it looks like they don't anymore. But there is a Cotswold.
Britain seems like they don't play about their cheese. They seem like one of those places that would have some fantastic proper cheese. I don't know much about cheese, but my older brother, he's like real big on that. I remember he went to Toronto one time and he came back with all these different cheeses. Like he enjoys that type of stuff. But I mean, you know, I like cheese too, but I'm just not, as someone said in the comments, educated. I'm gonna keep bringing that up. I don't care. People are crazy.
Cheese and some aged cheddars and Wensleydale, of course, and Stilton. I was disappointed that I couldn't do a comparison of Double Gloucester because they no longer sell it at Kroger, but this just shows you how expensive the imported British cheeses are. Wensleydale with cranberries is 55% cheaper by weight in Britain than it is in the States. Something I love to buy is fresh mozzarella. So here we have the Galbani brand, which is for a 125 gram ball of fresh mozzarella, it's 2 pounds. And it comes packed in water. There's also the Creamfields brand, which 210 grams, only 69 pence, which is crazy. This fresh mozzarella is 80% cheaper than the equivalent American store brand. And of course, we need to talk about milk. So I'm going to look here at the semi-skimmed milk, which we call 2% or low fat in the States. And that semi-skimmed milk is £1.45 for 4 pints or 2.3 liters. Because we have the whole crazy thing going on between the US and the UK, where pints are not the same number of ounces and gallons are hopelessly confusing, I decided to do this all metric. So here are the prices for British and American milk shown in liters, and the UK milk is 18% cheaper. The hummus is good and it's inexpensive. £1.50 for a 300 gram tub. 10 ounces of American hummus is almost $4, and that makes the British hummus about 55% cheaper. Here's a
So far, Britain has definitely been winning as far as prices, for sure. The way she breaks it down, I love how she just takes her time and really gets to it. I appreciate that. I appreciate this video. Very educational.
nice boneless salmon side or fillet or fillet. That is £18.50 per kilo. Salmon is expensive in both places. In the States, it's about $15 a pound, and that makes the British salmon about a third less expensive. These chicken fillets, these chicken breasts, which appear to be free-range chicken, cost £7.50 for 650 grams. I tried to find an American chicken which would also be free range so that it was an equivalent comparison, and it did seem that the British chicken was about 3% more expensive. Not very much of a difference. A British beef fillet steak is £8 for 210 grams. I was expecting the British beef to be more expensive, but for filet mignon, it was actually 44% less expensive. A sirloin steak is £4.60 for 227 grams. That's very specific. When I compared the organic grass-fed sirloin steak, it also was more expensive than it is in Britain. Britain was 41% cheaper. Minced beef that is only 5% fat is £3.49 for 500 grams.
You have to get everyone out. He's coming.
I really respect the fact that she really took her time to break this down. Like I said earlier, very educational.
They're the exact same kind of minced beef to ground beef because the mince was 5% fat, and in the States it's 7% fat, but this was as close as I could get, and it's 45% cheaper in Britain. A whole leg of lamb is £13 per kilo. Okay, this is funny. I could not find leg of lamb at Kroger. When I searched on leg of lamb in the Kroger website, all that came up was a Lego Lamborghini race car set. So we're not going to be able to do that comparison. I decided instead to just look at lamb chops. And not surprisingly, they were a lot less expensive in Britain, about 52%. Texas Dara here again to pop in and say, let me know what is surprising you about this video. And if there are any products where you think I bought the wrong thing, tell me what I should have bought. Here's our favorite sauces we've been using this summer.
What's surprising me about this video? Honestly, the fact that when she looked up the legs, what was it that came up, a race car set? That was surprising. That was funny. Hold on, that's what's surprising to me.
But for filet mignon, it was actually 44% less expensive. A sirloin.
So I might have went. I don't think I went far back enough, but that was pretty funny. No, but honestly, guys, overall, I don't know. You know, I can't. To be honest, like I'm still learning. I'm still processing everything going on. This is, like I said, this is educational for me. I'm a student, so I am getting educated as I watch this. And so far, I mean, I just appreciate the video. Because then I could go back and be like, all right, let me really do my homework and really start to understand British pounds a lot more.
Steak is £4.60 for 227 grams. That's very specific. When I compared the organic grass-fed sirloin steak, it also was more expensive than it is in Britain. Britain was 41% cheaper. Minced beef that is only 5% fat is £3.49 for 500 grams. I couldn't compare the exact same kind of minced beef to ground beef because the mince was 5% fat, and in the States it's 7% fat, but this was as close as...
I think what surprised me was how honey, though. I think she said it was like 60% cheaper in Britain, and I'm big on honey as far as like healing, you know, when you're sick, and just honey is such a, I just love honey, right? And it is very expensive. She's not lying. Even when you try to go cheap and get the store version, it still be pricey. So that definitely surprised me for sure. I wonder why that is though. Like Britain probably got better quality honey too, you know, to be honest.
As I could get, and it's 45% cheaper in Britain. A whole leg of lamb is 13 pounds per kilo. Okay, this is funny. I could not find leg of lamb at Kroger.
So I actually went too far back. So here's what I thought was funny.
I searched on leg of lamb in the Kroger website. All that came up was a Lego Lamborghini race car set. So we're not going to be able to do that comparison. I decided instead to just look at lamb chops. And not surprisingly, they were a lot less expensive in Britain, about 52%. Texas Dara here again to pop in and say, let me know what is surprising you about this video. And if there are any products where you think I bought the wrong thing, tell me what I should have bought. Here's our favorite sauces we've been using this summer. The teriyaki sauce, £1.50 for 150 ml. Teriyaki sauce was one thing that was less expensive in the US, although again, I've tried this product and it's really not as good as the British one, even though the British one is 38% more expensive. If you want some chicken tikka masala, that's £3 for a 420 gram jar, unless you buy it on sale, and then of course it's a better deal. I was able to compare the same brand, P.O Box, in the US as the UK, a lot more expensive in the States, 62% less expensive in Britain. And mango chutney is £4.10 for 530 grams, unless you want the store brand, that's only £1.40 for 230 grams. Even though I always buy the store brand chutney, I couldn't find it in the States. So this is Sharwood's brand chutney in Britain compared to Patak brand in Texas. The British one was almost 50% less expensive. Coleman's dry mustard is £2.30 for 57 grams. Good old Coleman's dry mustard from Norfolk was $6.50 for a 4-ounce container in Texas, making the British pack 15% cheaper. Now let's talk about ice cream. Oreo ice cream is £3.50 for 480 milliliters. I was not surprised that the British Oreo ice cream was a lot more expensive, 90% higher. And good old Ben & Jerry's, that's an American product, is £5.15 for a 465 milliliter carton. I was surprised that Ben & Jerry's ice cream, another American brand, was actually less expensive in Britain, 6% lower. Let's do some toiletries. Colgate toothbrushes in the 360-degree style are £2.50, normally £5. I thought both of these Colgate toothbrushes were really expensive. The UK was 10% higher. My favorite are these Pro toothbrushes. They're Tesco store brand, but they're extra soft for sensitive gums. And they are only 75p. This is where we see a big difference. When you look at the store brand sensitive toothbrushes, the British one is 57% cheaper than the US. Similarly, you can get Sensodyne brand toothpaste, the Rapid Relief stuff. 75 milliliter is £5 normally, on sale for £3 right now. Comparing the same brand of sensitive toothpaste, Sensodyne Rapid Relief, British one was 11% more expensive. But the Tesco store brand Complete Sensitive Toothpaste is only £1, and they don't bother with all that extra packaging. Did it 22 wings to show.
Man, who would y'all say won price-wise? Obviously, Britain. Obviously.
The IRS deadline is here.
But there was some things that U.S. wasn't too bad. It wasn't as crazy as I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought U.S. would just be all around. I didn't think Britain would have anything more expensive than
the only similar
the U.S.
item I could find at Kroger. The Kroger store brand that compares to Sensodyne, and it was $4.29 for a tube of toothpaste. That makes the British store brand sensitive toothpaste 68% less expensive than the American one. As I wrap up this video, I have a few important caveats about how I did the comparisons. First of all, obviously, exchange rates vary constantly. One thing that's obvious is that there are so many more store brands in Europe than there are in the US. I worked in the food industry for 30 years and can tell you that's always been the case, but there are lots more store brand products available now in the US than there used to be years ago. I tried to buy what I actually buy when I'm shopping, but as you saw a couple times when I couldn't get a store brand equivalent in the States, I had to just use the branded product in the analysis. Speaking of brands, I did include a couple American brands and British brands just so that we could see if the theory holds that a brand is going to be more expensive when it's not in the country of origin. But that wasn't always the case. Now let's look at the total cost of the two shopping baskets. In Britain, it was £122, and in the US, it was $212. After equivalizing, it was 32% cheaper to shop in Britain versus America. If you're interested in seeing more shopping videos, I've done several other ones on my channel. I did 2 videos in which I did full shopping trips in the US and the UK since I live in both countries. And you can see one video compares high-end stores, what those shopping trips were like, and the other video compares low-end grocery shopping and what those stores were like. So you can check those out if you're interested. I also did several videos where I chose specific categories in the store so that you can see what's it like shopping for sugar in England versus sugar in the US. I chose several categories that, as someone who shops in both places a lot, seemed pretty different to me. So I will link to all those videos in the description. Thanks so much for watching this video, and do something good in the world today.
Much love to her. Seems like a very sweet lady, and the fact that she took her time to really break that down. To be honest, I felt like she was a teacher, like a teacher I could listen to, though. As she just kind of broke down the metrics and compared the difference. And I feel like it's a great time to, as far as technology, where nowadays we could literally just see people in the UK or in the US, like comparing like that, right in front of our face, just everyday people. I think that is amazing, and I definitely appreciate her for this video. Overall, there was a lot that surprised me, as far as, like I said, the honey. Just she went through a lot. She went through a lot. The fruits in the beginning, that caught me off guard because I just thought overall US would be a lot more expensive, like a lot more than, just blow it out the water. So I definitely was caught by surprise. from the beginning, and then throughout the video, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Obviously, Britain's still cheaper, but quality wise, I know there's a lot of controversy over American foods, period, and what we think is healthy, not really being healthy. Overall, personally, for me, like I said earlier in the video, man, I just want to farm my own food. I just want to grow it, farm, agriculture, do all that stuff, and really know where my stuff is coming from and just eat off the land at this point. Yeah, that's what I want to do. But it's cool to watch videos like this to learn something. Obviously, I still got to go back and do more homework as far as British pounds and understanding that. But yeah, that's what these videos are for. So to that person, I'm not leaving that person alone. Doing that, because I'll go back and I'll watch my comments, and I'll read them. Because obviously I drop a lot of videos, so I'll go back. It's like a video from a week ago about like automatic transmission and a manual transmission. Someone's like, "Oh, you're such and such, da 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 da. Get educated." Dude, I'm watching these videos to be educated. You guys gotta understand, like, especially in my generation nowadays. This video was like 20 minutes, so I'm watching, I'm listening. Like, the attention span in my generation is getting shorter and shorter. So for those that do appreciate me coming on here and being a student and letting my flaws show and showing that I'm not the smartest person in the world, and just sitting here paying attention to learn and to really have a better perspective on things. The ones that really appreciate that, I appreciate you. And to the people that drop amazing comments and are just beautiful people, man, I love you. And it's been a lot of you. So I'm not going to give the lemons anymore. I'm not going to give the lemons no more attention. But some people do just be saying some negative stuff. Sometimes I read comments, I'll be like, what is this person's problem? And not just on my videos, but when I watch other people's videos, it's like, man, there's some real trolls out here who just say stuff. But it's all good. We're going to keep learning. We're going to keep growing. And I'm going to get smarter. I'm going to go back and I'm going to learn more. And I'm going to do my own homework, and just continue to grow. Because I'd rather use my time to study and watch videos like this than to just be watching like TikTok vids of people twerking and and just, oh, look at this fight. No, I'd rather watch these and really learn something. So with that being said, shout out to this sweet lady again. This video was amazing. Original link will be in the description. Much love to you all. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you on the next video. Enjoy your day. And like she said, matter of fact, let me make sure I catch what she said at the end perfectly, because she said something real nice.
I chose several categories that, as someone who shops in both places a lot, seemed pretty different to me. So I will link to all those videos in the description. Thanks so much for watching this video, and do something good in the world today.
Do something good in the world today. That was a beautiful message to end that video. So that's my message too. I'm going to piggyback off of what she said and say, do something good in the world today, and just spread some love. It's needed. Much love.